A baseball launched off an aluminum-sounding crack, traveled so far, so fast, and with so much violence that it didn't bounce off the wall, didn't graze the warning track, didn't clip the top of the fence. It went into a river, on the fly. That is not a metaphor. That is not an exaggeration for dramatic effect. That is a factual, verified, documented thing that happened in a Major League Baseball game tonight. 5 walk-offs. 4 of them on home runs, a 21-year-old going yard and a 22-year-old following him in the same game. A hitter slugging, 6.5 for yes, 654 and carrying a batting average north of .300 a pitcher. The baseball world essentially gave up on quietly reinventing himself with a 0.7 era in a brand new role, and a prospect so loaded with talent that just reading his minor league stat line out loud feels like something you'd put in a fictional video game on rookie difficulty. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a city with a ballpark that comes with its own natural water hazard. PNC Park sits along the Allegheny River, and over the years, a handful of the game's most powerful hitters have sent baseballs into that river on the fly. No bounce, no skip, just a direct one-way ticket into the current. Tonight, O'Neil Cruz became the 7th player in Major League Baseball history to join that exclusive club. And he did it twice. The Pirates and the Twins played one of the more entertaining games of the early portion of this season, and Pittsburgh needed every single swing. Minnesota's defense handed the Buccas some early opportunities, Brandon Lauer scoring on a miscue, a timely RBI ground ball from Bay, but the Twins kept clawing back. It was Tristan Gray who first re-energized the Pittsburgh offense, lacing a 2-run single through the infield to re-tie things. The crowd started buzzing, then Trevor Lick stepped in, and the crowd went from buzzing to standing. A 2-run home run, 425 feet, completely erasing any Twins momentum, but the moment of the night, the moment of the month, perhaps came off the bat of O'Neil Cruz. 111 miles per hour. Off the bat, trajectory gone. Not deep in the gap, not off the wall, not high into the seats, into the river. The Allegheny claimed another victim tonight, and Cruz, who, by the way, was already beating opposing outfielders by 25 to 30 feet on fly balls this season, just became part of Pittsburgh baseball lore. That was his 3rd hit of the game, by the way, but Pittsburgh wasn't done letting the drama breathe. Minnesota still led heading into the 9th, and Brian Reynolds stepped in with the crowd on its feet. What followed was the kind of walk-off that you can tell is a home run the moment the bat makes contact. Reynolds knew it. The fans knew it. The Twins knew it. He barely took 2 steps out of the box before leaning back, watching his work of art carry over the wall. Pittsburgh Buccaneers 30 wins on the season, secured in one of the most complete, chaotic, beautiful games this ballpark has seen in recent memory. That's win number 30. Walk-off, Allegheny River, filed under baseball magic. Here's something you may not have expected to be saying in the middle of this season. The Chicago White Sox are rolling, 30 wins, back-to-back games against the Detroit Tigers, and both times, Chicago came out on the right side of extra innings. The Tigers are a quality ball club, and Tigers catcher Dylan Dingler has been one of the more quietly productive players in the American League over the past 2 weeks. But the White Sox, on this particular night, simply would not be denied. It played out like this, tied at 2 entering extras. Detroit pushed ahead on a go-ahead sacrifice fly in the 10th. And Chicago tied it right back on a walk-off home run. Miguel Vargas launched a shangup, his 13th of the year, deep into the bleachers, and just like that, the White Sox walked off for the 2nd night in a row. Fun fact for the baseball historians in the room, that walk-off was the 7th time this season the Tigers have been on the losing end of an extra inning finish. 7 times. That is a rough number, but there's something even bigger happening in Chicago tonight, and it comes in 2 parts. First, the bad news. Mooney Murakami has been placed on the injured list with a hamstring strain. He's going to miss several weeks, and for a White Sox team building genuine momentum right now, that is an uncomfortable development. Now for the good news, and I mean really good news. The Chicago White Sox are calling up Jacob Gonzalez. For those not keeping close tabs on the farm system, allow me to paint you a picture. This young man was a 1st-round pick in 2023, and what he has done this season at the minor league level is not just impressive, it is statistically jaw-dropping. In 52 games, Jacob Gonzalez is hitting .317 with 19 home runs and 62 RBIs. He was also tracking toward his first career 20 stolen base season, 19 home runs, 62 RBIs, 52 games. The White Sox didn't just have depth in that farm system. They had a superstar sitting in the waiting room. The hope in Chicago is that Gonzalez comes up, hits his stride, Murakami returns healthy and productive, and Noah Schultz continues to develop into the front of the rotation arm many scouts believe he can be. I'm not predicting anything. I'm just saying, watch this team. Pay close attention. We just told you about a 14-run game that ended with a walk-off. This next game featured 16 runs and also ended with a walk-off. Welcome to the Miami Marlins hosting the New York Mets. A game that had absolutely no intention of ending at a reasonable hour. The offense on both sides came in waves. A.J. Ewing, the rookie outfielder who has been turning heads with both his glove and his bat, opened the scoring with a 2-run single up the middle. Brett Baty answered for New York with a 2-run single of his own. Max Meyer, who has been one of the better stories on the Miami pitching staff this season, simply could not generate that one big out when the moment called for it. Xavier Edwards continued his torrid recent stretch. Over his last 21 games, Edwards carries a 9.40 OPS, you read that right, and he collected an RBI triple in this game by torching a ball over Ewing's head in center field. Mark Vientos did what Mark Vientos does. Put an absolutely violent swing on a ball and watched it rocket to the second deck. The trajectory alone told you it was gone before it was halfway to the wall. The Marlins kept fighting. They traded errors with the Mets. They traded sacrifice FLIs. Somehow, it's 6-5 heading into the late innings. Owen Casey tied it for Miami with his 5th home run. Just like that, 6-all, heading to extra innings. Then MJ Melendez stepped in against Pete Fairbanks, and the Mets walked off, a 7-6 final. 2 straight wins for New York. The Mets are building something real right now, and it starts with the kind of clutch performance we saw from Melendez in the 10th. As for Fairbanks, he signed a contract worth $13 million from the Marlins not long ago. Based on recent performance, Miami's front office might be rethinking a few things. Before we get to the powerhouse performances out of New York and Los Angeles, let's stop in Seattle for a moment because the Mariners just did something they hadn't done in over a month. They got back to 500. It came in another wild extra inning game. J.P. Crawford went deep not once, but twice on the night, his 8th and 9th home runs. Cole Young turned in a web gem for the ages, missing the initial grab on a Geraldo Perdomo rocket and somehow recovering to corral it and immediately fire to first to complete a stunning double play. The kind of play you only see from a shortstop who is wired differently. Julio Rodriguez, who has carried the nickname July for years because of his habit of turning it on in the second half, appears to have torn up the calendar this season. 11 home runs, 29 RBIs in 58 games. At just 25 years old, he already has 123 career home runs and 121 stolen bases, a historical pace for a player that age. He is a superstar in the truest sense of the word. Arizona made things interesting late. Ildemaro Vargas pushed his RBI total near 40. He's 3 away from the milestone. Domingo Fernandez tied it. Luke Raley channeled something extra and launched his 12th homer to put Seattle back on top for good. Randy Arozarena delivered the walk-off double. The Mariners backed up 5-0 for the first time since late April. Zach Wheeler is one of the best pitchers in the National League. His stuff is elite. His command is elite. His track record speaks for itself. Tonight, the Los Angeles Dodgers hit 4 solo home runs off of him. 4 solo home runs. Let me say this clearly, in the modern era of baseball analytics, pitching sophistication and defensive shifting, having 4 different hitters take one pitcher deep in a single game is extraordinarily rare. The probability of it happening again, as the saying goes, is somewhere in the vicinity of never to the power of never. Freddie Freeman set the tone early, going the opposite way off Wheeler for an RBI double, and Freddie, by the way, is hitting nearly .390 for his career against this particular pitcher. Remarkable. Shohei Ohtani, one day after throwing 6 no-hit innings on the mound, stepped in as a hitter and launched his 10th home run of the season. He has 3 home runs in his last 4 games. His OPS plus as a hitter is 158. His ERA as a pitcher is 082. What is he? Will Smith added a solo shot, and Mookie Betts completed the quartet. The victory belonged, in many ways, to Justin Wrobleski, a name many casual fans may not know, but one they should learn. An 11th round draft pick, developed entirely within the Dodgers system, who went 7 innings against the Phillies, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts, 0 walks, 1 hit allowed. That is a pitching line that ace-caliber starters dream about. That is the Dodgers' development machine at work. Tanner Scott, meanwhile, has been nothing short of locked in as the Dodgers' closing option. 5 saves, 19 strikeouts in his last dozen appearances, a 1.1 ERA on the season. A full return to peak form, Los Angeles is now 3 wins away from 40. Now Kyler Schwarber.it would be criminal to move past this game without stopping to acknowledge what Kyle Schwarber is doing this season. As of tonight, he leads the entire sport with 22 home runs. He is the only player in baseball currently on pace for 60 home runs. To be precise, he is on pace for 63 home runs. There are only a handful of seasons in the recorded history of this sport where someone has crossed that threshold. Schwarber is doing it quietly, ferociously, and without apology. He is the most dangerous hitter on the planet right now, and the question of whether anyone can stop him is becoming genuinely interesting. The baseball analytics community has spent years discussing the opener strategy, a pitcher who takes the first inning to neutralize the top of an opposing lineup, allowing the actual starter to enter a game in the second inning with fresh legs. A settled routine and a favorable spot in the order to face. The Tampa Bay Rays pioneered it. Various teams have deployed it since, with mixed results. But tonight, Boston Red Sox fans saw the most compelling advertisement for this strategy that the current era has produced. Brayan Bello is a talented starting pitcher who has spent this season getting absolutely carved up in the first inning. His era through 7 traditional starts, a daunting 9.7. He has been, in the bluntest terms, difficult to watch in the opening frame, but when the Red Sox gave him a different assignment, entering in the second inning after an opener, avoiding that initial gauntlet of facing the heart of an opposing lineup, something remarkable happened. In 25 innings pitched as a de facto opener or follower, Bello carries a 0.7 ERA, under 1. His strikeout rate climbs. His whip drops below 1. The walks disappear. The same arm, the same mechanics. The same repertoire, but a completely different result based on one simple adjustment. Give him time to find his rhythm before facing elite hitters. The Red Sox didn't win tonight. Cleveland held on. Emmanuel Clase struck out the side in a dominant 9th inning appearance. Marcelo Mayer had an RBI. Caleb Durbin, who has looked much more comfortable at the plate, recently added an RBI double for his second straight game with a run batted in. It wasn't enough, but the Bello development is the kind of story that will ripple across front offices around the league. When you have a talented arm that struggles in a specific situational context, the answer might not be a roster move. It might just be a lineup card adjustment. The meta is evolving. Boston may be ahead of the curve. Here is the thing about the Atlanta Braves. They have been devastated by pitching injuries this season. Their staff has been picked apart by circumstances entirely outside their control. And yet, because of an offense that is borderline historic, they keep winning. Tonight, they moved to 1 win from 40. Ronald Acuña Jr. led them off with his 4th home run of the season and his 38th career leadoff homer, a figure that speaks to the unique blend of speed, discipline, and power that defines one of the most exciting players in the sport, but the play of the game, the moment that may have saved Atlanta's night and certainly saved a multi-run swing, came from Blake Dunn in right field. Matt Olson, a feared slugger who hits baseballs with genuine menace, tried to stretch a single into extra bases. Dunn cut it off, wheeled, and threw a strike to nail Olson at second base. A hustle play, a laser throw. And just like that, a potential multi-run inning for Cincinnati became a 0. Dunn has been making these plays all season. He is becoming the kind of player who affects outcomes in ways that don't always show up on a box score. From there, Michael Harris too simply took over. 3 hits, 3 RBIs. A productive, workmanlike dominant night from a young player who, with a healthy Acuña around him, becomes that much more dangerous in the lineup. J.J. Bleday added his 8th home run. Nathaniel Lowe carrying a 151 OPS plus, extraordinary production for a first baseman, went deep for his 9th, and George Matteo, the speedy Atlanta infielder, is batting .320 with a 136 OPS plus and is posting positive defensive numbers too. It is entirely possible you have been sleeping on him. Atlanta is relentless. Their pitching has been tested. Their depth has been challenged. And they keep winning baseball games, 1 away from 40. There is a quiet arms race happening in the National League between two teams that run the bases, put the ball in play, manufacture runs in multiple ways, and simply do not stop competing. The Washington Nationals and the San Diego Padres. The Nationals led all of Major League Baseball in runs scored this season. A significant reason for that is Curtis Mead for home runs in his last 6 games. 8 on the year, a 145 OPS plus, one of the very best hitters in baseball. During the month of May, he is on track for a Player of the Month award and he has earned every vote. Fernando Tatis Jr. and the Padres matched the Nationals' intensity pitch by pitch, run by run. Tatis has been working hard to rediscover his home run swing. He has been absolutely locked in on base hits and stolen bases, batting .455 over his last 9 games at second base, but the lift hasn't come yet. Mason Miller locked it down with his 17th save. San Diego improves to 32 and 24. Ty France homered. Jackson Merrill, who announced himself to the baseball world with a historic Rookie of the Year campaign, has 5 home runs and 10 stolen bases while playing quality defense. Ian Happ hit a home run for the 3rd consecutive game, bringing his season total to 13. He is on pace for 36. He is one of the most consistent, complete left fielders of the current generation, and this year he is simply locked in. Fernando Tatis is going to figure out the vertical plane again. He is too talented not to. When he does, this Padres team is going to be a problem for everyone in the National League West. A quick but important stop at Wrigley Field tonight, where the Chicago Cubs handled the St. Louis Cardinals in a 6-5 ball game, and where one of the more interesting storylines of the evening emerged from the most unexpected source. Nelson Velázquez. Here is a name that generates strong feelings. Velázquez had a breakout 2023 season, 17 home runs, a 135 OPS plus with the Cubs, at which point Chicago decided his strikeout tendencies were not worth the risk and moved on. He landed in Kansas City, where his production declined. And tonight, his first appearance in the major leagues since 2024, he stepped in against his former employer, the Cubs, and launched one over the fence for a home run. Let the record reflect. Nelson Velázquez welcomed himself back. Avon Herrera has been one of the more quietly dominant bench bats against left-handed pitching in the National League. 9 for 5 OPS this year against Southpaws. 7 home runs, a weapon that Chicago has utilized effectively. Riley O'Brien earned his 14th save to close it out. Cardinals fans, not the outcome you wanted. The Cardinals needed this game and did not get it. Some reflection on the roster construction decisions ahead may be warranted. I want to take a moment before we discuss the result of this ball game, which is painful to relay, to appreciate what the Baltimore Orioles are building in that organization. Tonight, 2 separate players hit home runs. One of them just turned 22 years old. The other is 21. Jackson Holliday, coming back from injury and carrying a 130 OPS plus across his first 10 games back, with 2 home runs and 3 stolen bases, went deep tonight. Pete Alonso, who has made a career out of going the opposite way to left field, added his 11th homer, 7 of which have gone that direction this year. Samuel Basallo, 21 years old, recently adjusted his stance and has been on a sustained tear ever since. Hit his 9th home run with a 135 OPS plus, a 21-year-old with a 135 OPS plus. Write that down. That kind of production from that age group is the foundation of a dynasty if it continues, and yet the Blue Jays won. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. delivered a 2-run double in the late innings that proved to be the difference. When the Jays are trailing, Guerrero Jr. hits .360 with a .440 on-base percentage. That is, clutch performance, quantified. He is one of the 5 best hitters in the American League right now. A 24-year-old Charles McAdoo entered the game, came to bat for the first time in the big leagues, and hit a 2-run home run. No, that is not a misprint. First big league plate appearance. 2-run home run. The Orioles lost a game they were in a position to win. Baltimore fans know this team is good. They know the youth is real. Tonight just wasn't their night. We close our game-by-game coverage with a 10-inning masterpiece in Milwaukee, a game that had everything: great defense, clutch hitting, big arms, and a walk-off in the final frame. Garrett Mitchell opened the night with a robbery in center field, tracking down what appeared to be a certain Yordan Alvarez stand-up double and hauling it in at the warning track. A tremendous piece of defense to set the tone. Cameron Smith, a 23-year-old who came up as a defensive specialist, has been quietly showing the bat is real too. He went deep and added an RBI double later in the contest. He has been unlucky on balls in play this season. Expect his numbers to climb as the summer progresses. David Hamilton hit his first home run of the year in the Crawford boxes, a park-aided shot, sure, but they count the same as the majestic ones. Jackson Chourio hit one of the longest balls of his career for 130-plus feet to the left center cutout, a swing that announces itself. Watch this kid. He is 21 years old and he is generating exit velocities that suggest he will be a power threat for the next decade. Houston kept fighting. It went to 10 innings. Abner Urib currently playing while appealing a suspension handed down after a previous celebratory gesture got him into hot water, entered the game, and was genuinely electric on the mound. He escaped a high-leverage jam with athleticism, pouncing on a slow roller and firing to first, then pumping his fist before the ball had even settled into the glove. Still, Milwaukee had the last word. A sacrifice fly in the 10th inning brought home the walk-off run. Christian Yelich sliding home with the abandon of someone 20 years younger across the plate, and the Brewers sealed it. Devin Williams, 7 saves this season. A 1.2 ERA, 20 strikeouts in his last 15 innings. Back to full form is one of the most dangerous late-inning options in the National League. Milwaukee improves to 34-20. They are a complete baseball team and they are coming for the top of the NL Central. The National League is loaded with offense. The Nationals led the league in runs. The Braves are closing in on 40 wins despite pitching injuries. The Dodgers have a bullpen dialed in and a developmental machine that keeps producing. The Padres are lurking. The White Sox, and I know how this sounds, the White Sox are building something. 30 wins. A superstar prospect on the way up. The foundational pieces of a contender. Do not sleep on Chicago, and Kyle Schwarber is chasing 63 home runs. That alone is worth showing up for every single day.